Yes, yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party, 101 ESPN, YouTube. Tim McKernan, Action Jackson with you. Get involved on the program. Jackson, we have an hour, and we got to maximize it. So I don't have time for your dilly-dallying today. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. The YouTube chat is hot, super hot. And I assume Tiny Pee-Pee's in there running things. I just assume that.
I'd have to imagine.
So we'll see what's going on there. Text in. Jackson, you didn't really get a chance to talk much during TMA today, so I don't know. You went to homecoming, right?
Yeah, so sometimes on TMA, you let Ken cook. Like when Kobe's about to score 81 and you're Luke Walton,
Right.
You don't start asking for the ball.
Right. No, I understand that. That's right.
So I have no issues with it. That was just the case. Yeah, I had an outstanding weekend.
You were in Columbia. You're wearing your black and gold today, and it actually is gold and not yellow. What was it like for homecoming?
The atmosphere was incredible.
Is that right?
Yes.
You were there for the whole game?
Oh, yeah. Yep, start to finish. 75 degrees.
Who'd you go there with?
Like my best friend for 20 years who lives in Columbia. So always great to go up there and see him. No,
Herb.
No, his name's Mark. He's a great guy.
Goes by Sweet Sweet Kai.
No. He doesn't
Private Citizen Pete.
Doesn't really have an alias. He's just a good guy. He's been my friend forever. Probably closer to a brother than he is a friend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tribute to you, Mark.
Yeah. Great guy. And so go up there with him, hang out, and enjoy the atmosphere. It was incredible. Columbia packed, stadium packed, weather outstanding, offense in the first half potent. It was a perfect recipe for an outstanding homecoming.
Yeah, we got a lot on that game, on what is to come here for Missouri. This could be two of the best weeks in Missouri athletics in my lifetime, actually, which may sound Mike Greenberg talking New York Jets, Stephen A. Smith talking anything, but these are just the facts, friends of the family. So that's what we got here. Plus Jeremy Rutherford at 10:45 as the Blues. What a bounce back. Win against the Penguins. And then you have City getting its playoff schedule, and it's warm garbage. It's just warm garbage with a 9 o'clock game.
Yeah,
possibly against Kansas City, no less, or as City is calling it, Kansas, in the promotional materials for the playoff schedule. All part of today's Little Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Jackson Burkett. You may call him Piddles.
Yes. The weekend wrap-up. What a weekend it was. Fight Tiger. Missouri came out and showed everyone that they are not looking ahead to the bye week or ahead to the hedges of Athens, and they did their job on Saturday. Is right now, in your lifetime, the most momentum Missouri athletics has had, in particular, the football program.
Wow. So I tried not to step on the weekend wrap-up, and I still did a little bit.
I'd say you got better teasing.
No, thank you. I would say that operating on the premise that Ryan Wingo commits to Missouri on Wednesday, combined with the fact that no matter what, barring an injury at practice, you have a full 12, 13 days to bask in a number 16 ranking that will probably be 13, 14 by the time you go to Athens, along with the football recruiting momentum, basketball program momentum, and the approval rating of the athletic director, Desiree Reed-Francois, that this is a year that stands out in my lifetime. I don't know to compare and contrast it to best, but for most of my lifetime, at least years I can recall, in the 80s and 90s, the Missouri football team was terrible. So you never really had both firing on all cylinders. Mike Anderson took Missouri to the NCAA tournament 3 straight years and then included an Elite Eight in 2009. But the football team was at its best in 2007 and 2013, really. I mean, 8 and 14, they went to the championship games, but those two teams weren't as good as the teams in 2007 and 2013. And then also 2010, Missouri had a very good football team that was undefeated and beat number 1 Oklahoma, but then they lost to Roy Halou in Nebraska. Blaine Gabbert got hurt. Then they surprisingly lost to Texas Tech, so that equity kind of went away. Point being, yes, Jackson, I would say this is certainly one of the high points for Missouri athletics as we stand here right now, and that equity can only go up if you get Ryan Wingo and maybe some more recruits this week before you go between the hedges next week.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment wholeheartedly. Certainly the most momentum in my 25-year lifespan. for sure. The most as a fan, you kind of start from when they beat Illinois. I know that was 2022 in basketball till right now, but you've had high points left and right, including a tournament appearance and now a 7-1 start to a football season where you were picked to win 6.5 games. So you've covered that in October, which is exactly what you want. And now you've presented yourself with a November of hope. This is the November of hope, and it starts on November 4th when you go to Athens. Last year, they needed a perfect situation to beat Georgia, and it almost happened. This year, they don't need a perfect situation. They just need to play 4 quarters of football. And if they do that, they have as good a shot at beating Georgia as they do anybody else in the country.
Their first quarter against LSU, their final 3 quarters against Kentucky, and their first half against South Carolina, that is performance that is capable of, in my opinion, beating anybody in the country, and I include Georgia in that category. Now, I think Missouri beats Georgia. They played 10 times in Athens. I think they win 3 times.
That was my number, 3.
So it's not like I'm expecting it. But these kinds of opportunities do not come around often. So I think what winds up happening, and I kind of saw this with Missouri fans' reactions to the LSU game. Not everybody at all, but I certainly saw it, and I think we talked about it a little bit. We might have talked about it off air more than we did on air. That was LSU, and, who would have thought that? It's like, all right, but was LSU clearly the better team? Absolutely not. I don't think anybody at LSU would say that.
No.
So we go back to 2013 or 14 for the last time Missouri had a team like this. Point being, you got to go back a decade at a minimum to have the kind of conversation. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is that these opportunities are not something that you can expect at this moment as a Missouri fan. And history tells you that it doesn't happen all that often. I would actually say, and I want to I texted Gabe Yarman of Power Mizzou. He just joined us on TMA. You can podcast that on the TMA STL app or youtube.com/TMA STL. This is the biggest Missouri road game, and I mean road, not neutral site like Arrowhead in 2007, since when? And I don't know if there has been a bigger Missouri road game in my lifetime where both teams in November, I'm talking about in November, because you can point to some games in October, like Georgia in 2013 or Nebraska in 2010, but those were both October. And you're talking about both teams still in the mix for a national championship and playing for the SEC East or Big 12 North or Big 8 if you want to go back then. This is the biggest, which sounds, again, like an exaggeration. An overstatement. I went to Missouri, so therefore it's a homer thing. But if I were talking about the Cardinals and Blues, it'd be fine. Missouri kind of divides the audience. But that's the fact. You win at Georgia, it is a program-defining win. Yeah. You win at Georgia, it is a program-defining win. I would make the case that the seasons of 2007 and 2008 and 2010 set the stage for 2013 and 2014. They play off of each other. I would tell you that it looked like Ryan Wingo was headed to Texas, and all of a sudden the Missouri offense goes off, albeit in a loss against LSU, and the momentum starts to change, and the expectation is that he's going to announce as a 5-star he's going to Missouri on Wednesday and join Luther Burden and potentially more in Columbia next year. These things feed off each other. But allow yourself to be hurt by a loss in Georgia. Allow it. Don't go, well, they stayed within 7, shows progress. I'm telling you, I've spoken with some Georgia fans, and they're not necessarily sold on this Georgia team. They won't have Brock Bowers no matter what, and they kind of fumble left around with South Carolina and Auburn and needed comebacks in order to beat that team. Point being, it's all there for Missouri, and most likely, if they were to win out, which I would give a percentage of 15%.
Yeah, I think that's
they are playing in the college football playoff.
Yep.
So, allow yourself to be emotionally invested, and there's nothing wrong with being disappointed. I mean, I would imagine everybody in this audience, damn near everybody in this audience anyway, knew that you were staring out into the abyss going into a June hockey game in Boston in 2019. Because if the Blues lose to the Bruins, there is a clear awareness that, holy crap, it took half a century to get to this moment. It didn't happen, and God only knows when it will happen again.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with acknowledging the moment is significant. But you know what? I'll tell you this. Look me in the eyes. Look into these baby blues and try not to be seduced. I don't care if you're into women or not. Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight, boys. Herb T. Brooks, Miracle, 2004. Think about that, Jackson.
That's the only thing I've been thinking about.
Thank you very much.
The ball kicked off on Saturday at 2:30.
The ball is kicked, and there you are. You're in for your life.
Nope.
You're a shooting star.
I feel like it.
Thank you. So the biggest road game, I think, for Missouri in November in my lifetime. I actually came out of Twitter retirement.
I know.
You
I couldn't believe
stunned.
my eyes.
You were stunned. You probably were half deep on malt liquor anyway.
Yeah,
roving around Providence.
I was kind of in the
looking
pocket.
for the Alpha Phi house.
I know where that is.
And you go, my God, Tim's tweeting. What happened? Is he on peyote or something? Right. And I'm like, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. Hello, friends on Twitter, all using your real names. This is the biggest Missouri road game in November, since when? And people are throwing Ole Miss out in 2013, or Tennessee and A&M in 14, and Nebraska in 2010, and Georgia in 2010 or 2013. I'm like, well, that was October, and then in 2014, A&M and Tennessee weren't any good, or Kentucky, whoever the hell it was. Ole Miss was ranked 24th. They weren't playing for the SEC. This is playing for the SEC. It's playing for the national championship. An opportunity to continue. It's a playoff game. That's essentially what it is. Yep. On the road in November.
Yep.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you've earned here tonight. So, Jackson, allow yourself to be hurt. Allow yourself to love again.
Trust me, I'm going to be emotional. I'm a live wire come November 4th.
Is that right?
Because I'm full.
You going Athens? You going between the hedges? You like those shrubs, boy?
No, I don't think I want to do that. I would love to go, but that's logistically just probably not going to be the move. But
you spent that Saturday with Marsh, didn't you?
With who? I'm sorry, I heard Mark and Marsh at the same time.
Well, it's unfortunate because I clearly said Marsh.
I saw him on Saturday.
Yeah.
We took a lovely photo. The golden locks were on full display.
Whose?
This guy's right here.
God, you're feeling yourself with this hair regrowth.
Well,
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
It's that laser cap.
Follicle essence.
So therefore, you and Marsh going to watch on November 4th?
I don't know. I don't know his plans. I know I'll be as locked in as I've ever been, and I will be. I am ready to be emotionally wrecked.
Allow yourself to be hurt.
I'm going.
You know what? She's a beautiful girl, and maybe you don't deserve her. If we're just lining up the pictures,
sure.
Maybe you don't. But you know what? Sometimes you don't judge a book by its cover. I look at ESPN.com this morning, and they rank all the chances of the teams who have a chance to win a national championship and the probabilities. They include Oregon State. They include Utah. They include two-loss LSU. You know who they don't include? The Missouri Tigers. They're saying the Missouri Tigers aren't good enough to be with the others. That's what you might be feeling, like Marsh is too good looking. No. You can be with Brandon Marsh. You can be with him.
Let them doubt. That's what I say. I say let them doubt. Because come November 4th, if Georgia isn't ready to play, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. It's not going to be
talking to Kirby Smart right now.
It's not going to be an easy road to Atlanta. You want to win the SEC, you got to go through Missouri. And let me tell you, these Missouri Tigers are playing
and
good
yes,
football.
We're surprised by it too.
Listen, did I think after the Middle Tennessee State game, which I went to,
right,
that they were going to be in a position like this in November? Absolutely not. I thought that their quarterback was going to hold them back. I thought the defense was what it was in 2022. I thought they weren't utilizing Burden right. I thought the playbook was as vanilla as it was in the past 3 years.
It might have been a meta play.
But it might have been a meta play because they came out against Kansas State, ready to fire, and looked like a completely different team. And they've been that team since the Kansas State game.
I would actually say defensively, they've been a totally different team ever since the LSU game.
Yeah.
The LSU game, low point, but that's LSU, who I, by the way, still think has a chance to win the national championship.
Sure.
For the record. I realize a lot of things have to happen there, whereas I think most likely Missouri controls its own destiny. But I right now, you tell me LSU versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa at night, which I think it will be after Missouri, Georgia on CBS. CBS has a doubleheader. I think Missouri's 2:30, Alabama, LSU's 6:45. I'm taking LSU. If you want Alabama at home, you can have them right now. Venmo for rolls. Venmo for rolls. You
I
want
think
some of my
LSU
rolls?
will win that game.
You do too?
Yeah, I think Alabama is.
Crap.
Is
I was going to get paid.
They're the beneficiary of a lot of good breaks in their part.
Josh Heupel not happy with the officiating in the second.
No doubt. An Arkansas team that scored a whopping 3 points on Saturday was real close to beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
No, 5 times.
Right. So
they got an offensive line situation, which is very weird considering the pick that they get of offensive linemen from all over the country to come play there. All right, Jimmy Rutherford's at 10:45 as the Blues get a hell of a win on Saturday. I can't wait to see what else is lurking in this Little Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up. You are listening to Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and on YouTube. Munganess, St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota, the presenting sponsor of Balloon Party. Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and on YouTube, and also the place I go to get my cars. I have gotten to know the people there. I think the world of the people there, and I really would like our audience to go to Munganess, St. Louis Acura and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, because you will then understand exactly what I'm talking about. It is a totally different car buying and also service department experience. It is world class, and I am so glad to have the relationship that we have on TMA and on Balloon Party and the Tim McKernan Show podcast with Munganess, because they know how to treat people, and sometimes that is not practiced at all businesses. Well, it is at Munganess and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com to check out their new car selection, their pre-owned selection. It's Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. I mean, you have no idea, ladies and gentlemen, in the 101 ESPN audience and YouTube, how close you were to a Little Piddles Western Conference preview of the National Basketball Association.
Yep.
I was a second away, apparently, from being late.
Yeah.
I had to use a little Wizards room.
I feel you.
Okay. Oh, Lisa's in there.
Hi, Lisa.
Morning, guess where I am going to be? In Georgia. Lisa's going to Georgia for the game.
Hell yeah. Boots on the ground, baby.
How about that?
Love it. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Welcome back to the program. It's called Balloon Party. It's presented to you by Munganast, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. My name is Tim McKernan. Look, it's Action Jackson over there. He went to the game with Marshy Marsh and the Playful Posse.
No, so Marshy was sitting in a different section than me.
Who do you go there with? T, did he?
No, his lovely girlfriend, who I got to meet for the first time.
I didn't know he was a man in love. Mm-hmm. Were you jealous?
No, she's very lovely and was very nice. Again, great photo taker. Made my hair look great. So
she's the one who took your picture.
Yeah, of me and Marsh. Yeah, nice. So it was great. And so I got to see him at halftime. I went out and into the concourse at halftime, and we talked it over. Talked about it all. Were
you signing autographs on Saturday at Fro Field?
No one asked for my John Hancock, but several people stopped by and said, hey, Piddles, or love the show, Jackson. It's always lovely to see. It's great that people are going down to Columbia to check out the action. It was like I said, you can't ask for a better weather day when it comes for homecoming. 75 degrees, and right about that third quarter, the sun dipped below the scoreboard and shade across the stadium. Super comfortable. People were fired up.
Real quickly, and then I'll let you get back to the weekend wrap up. Brought to you by Angry Beaver. Where did you go after the game?
Kind of did some bar hopping. Around, I would say, bars on the periphery of Columbia's mainstay classic college bars, because those are...
Ooh, like Outback, Bloomin' Onion?
No, not on that side, not that periphery.
God, you look down on people.
Well, I don't, there's just not an Outback in downtown Columbia, which is a miss, but either way.
Right.
Some, like Harpo's, Fieldhouse. I'm telling you, Tim, they could have been giving away Mercedes-Benz for free, and the line wouldn't have been as long to get into Willie's as it was.
Is that right? People with those cottage fries.
Saturday at 8 p.m., we walked past. We were going to go up to the roof of the Broadway Hotel for a second, and the line was, if you know Columbia geography at all the way up Broadway, past the hotel, wrapping in front of the hotel lobby there on Broadway.
How do you do?
500 people deep. I'm serious. I have never seen it look like that. And I've been to homecoming at Columbia 7 times, at least. And there was more people there in the line to get into Willie's than I've ever seen in my life.
How about that?
And I can't even imagine what the cover charge was.
UB Georgia, imagine the scene there on November 11th as the orange of the Volunteers comes a-calling.
Yep, and the day before, Missouri takes on Memphis in basketball.
How do you do? Penny Hardaway coming to town.
Yep.
All right, Jackson, we welcome people to participate in the program by texting an Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. By talking it over in the YouTube chat. Tom Summers says Rick was out Saturday in the YouTube chat.
No,
I wasn't. Having those daiquiris again?
No boat drinks.
No boat drinks. What were you drinking?
Light beer, Michelob Ultra, for the entirety of the afternoon, and then once the evening hits, I get right into the gin and tonics.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, G&Ts. That's my.
That's what you say, and the barkeeps know it when they see you.
Yeah, they know I like it stiff, and they know me. I'm a gin man, so that's what I get into once the night falls.
All right, there it is. So when you see Jackson out, get him a gin and tonic. Jeremy Rutherford at 10:45, YouTube chat. Everything is happening there. You can watch the program. And, of course, text and Air Comfort Service text line. Ladies and gentlemen, question 2 of the Little Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up.
Yeah, so kind of move off Missouri here for just a moment, even though I have several questions coming later.
Hey, you do your weekend wrap-up. That's why Angry Beaver sponsors it.
Well, we got another team who's... shocked the world in such a way.
Oh, you're going to Doggies second.
I'm going Doggies.
Sending a message.
I'm going Doggies.
Who's beat Sidney Crosby?
Well, we got Jamie Rutherford coming up at 10:45.
Okay.
And I don't know if people echo this opinion, but he probably knows a little bit more about the game than me.
Drop out of it.
Yeah, I guess that would be me. But I look towards Plowhawk, but he's not here. Right. But yeah, he knows a little bit more than me, so we'll get to it. Well, don't worry, we'll be getting to the Blues. But St. Louis City SC, aka the Dogs, get ready to embark.
Wow, well written, sir.
Thank you. on their inaugural playoff run. Do you get the feeling that St. Louis will get caught up in MLS Cup fever, similar to when the Blues or Cardinals make a playoff charge?
The short answer is no. That's not an anti-soccer take. I hope we can distinguish it. I'm asked to be honest on the air.
Yeah. This is honesty in the media.
It is. I mean, I could do the Orlowski thing for you. Stephen A. Smith. Hey, I saw Stephen A. and Molly McKernan got in an argument, too.
Oh, really?
And I think it was real.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I want to go back and
I think it was.
PLTD.
Yeah, it was pretty good. You know, Molly,
yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But no, the answer is no. And that's not an anti-soccer thing. If anything, I'd like to think that if you have listened to this program or TMA or my podcast, from the beginning, well before they even played, I said, I think the atmosphere at City Park is going to be unlike anything at Enterprise Center or Busch Stadium during regular season games, because younger people who may have lower BMIs are going to be able to stand for the entirety of the game, and there won't be people knitting with PSLs in the lower bowl yelling at them and somehow have the leverage to get an usher to say, hey, you need to sit down. And so it will be like a real big city with young people with some disposable income cheering for a sports team without fear of older people screaming at them, telling them to sit down. But I never thought that it would turn into what it has turned into, which is an absolute event every time they play. Mm-hmm. How? The Cardinals are still up here,
yep.
and then the Blues are still up here, and City is not at that level yet. I'd like to think we can all acknowledge that without being upset about it, but you know what? I've been doing this long enough to understand that somehow that is an affront to the soccer community, even though it's not intended to be. And some may disagree with that opinion, and that's fine. I shall not attack you from my burner account with dog avatars and scripture quotes. But I will say this. I think it got hurt by the start time of Sunday night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think that absolutely sucks. I guess that's part of the process when you're in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
But I know plenty of soccer fans in St. Louis are irritated, and justifiably so, especially if they wind up playing Sporting KC on Sunday night. The two teams in the Central Time Zone, separated by 4 hours on the road, are going to be playing at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it sucks.
The following week, it works. It's an afternoon game, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock start. I can't recall.
I think it's 3.
In Kansas City or San Jose. Then if San Jose, I suppose it'd be 1 or 2. And then on November 11th, if they have to play the third game, it'll be at 5 p.m., which on the surface sounds great, but unless Missouri-Tennessee kicks off at 11, it's going to
run into it.
It's going to overlap
Yeah.
with that. Now, if Missouri loses to Georgia, the interest level in Missouri-Tennessee drops precipitously. But if Missouri beats Georgia and now Missouri's hosting Tennessee, there's some overlap there. So that's unfortunate. I don't think that means, there won't be as much attention on the playoff game, because I don't know how much, the Venn diagram of the two sports fans. Listen, there's plenty of people who'd want to go to a one-loss Missouri top 10 team against most likely top 25 Tennessee team, and there are more than enough who'd want to be there for the game that would be the equivalent of a Game 7 for City and Sporting KC or San Jose. But, either way, schedule-wise, it would have been nice to not get the 9 o'clock Sunday game and the 5 p.m. on the 11th game.
Yeah, I think it's detrimental to an extent, because especially when.
But listen, but take your Missouri thing out.
Well, yeah,
it's an 11. It's a 5 o'clock game on a Saturday evening.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty strong.
And it might not even be needed.
Right.
When we're talking about this, they might just win the first two and have no issues. But with the 9 o'clock thing on a Sunday, you're so much of City is youth, and more so than just like people like around my age, but also like kids. That's who love
I agree
sports.
with that part. I really do agree with that part.
That
big
sucks
time.
that their first game.
Because that's
in the
a great
playoffs.
atmosphere for younger people to experience.
100%. And
it's a hell of an atmosphere. It's the kind of thing. And I know some people are like, well, my kids can't see because they're standing or whatever they can. And I understand that. And
sure.
I can't see it. I'm 47, so I sympathize with you. But as far as a 9 o'clock start goes, that sucks. Not just from attending it, but also watching it.
Right, exactly. Like kids got to go to bed.
Blues fans, we know the program, man. Every time first round rolls around, being in the Western Conference, even though it's the Central Division, They even put the Blues and Blackhawks at those,
Yeah. They say 8:30, but it's really 8:47
puck drop. I always do the over-under. That's that and the LSU wife at the White House are essentially all my contributions are to Twitter. Let's see what time is it, Jackson? 10:33. God, I thought we were ahead of the clock. I'm already late for a break.
Yeah.
All right, we'll break, come back with the weekend wrap-up. Jeremy Rutherford at 10:45. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and on YouTube.
If you're sick of having slow internet that doesn't reach every nook and cranny of your home, then I'm here to tell you about Whisper. Whisper is the rural internet provider for you. They have no hidden fees, no contracts, and high speeds, all for a low cost. Plus, they have first-class customer service that'll help you set up and answer any questions along the way. I got a customer review here from someone who uses Whisper. We have Whisper at our home, and the service is tremendous. We have very fast speeds and have cut the cord and stream 100% of our content via Whisper. Our daughter is a gamer and uses her Xbox as we stream 2 TVs of content at the same time, and there's no buffering. We rarely have to call the customer service, but when we do, they are quick to respond. I appreciate having someone available on the weekend to take tech calls. It's a great company, and we would highly recommend them. Whisper is also offering free installation right now until the end of October. Their amazing customer support team will come out and help set up your internet so that you don't have to worry. Call Whisper at 800-765-772 to learn more and use promo code WXOS to get free installation. That's 800-765-772 with promo code WXOS. This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues win on Saturday 4-2 over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Blues will be back in action tomorrow night taking on the Winnipeg Jets, a.k.a. wins per game. You can catch that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:45 p.m. Puck drops at 7:45. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. You kidding me?
Let me get in this YouTube chat and talk it over with the people. Jacob Herbert says in the YouTube chat, Jackson, it's 101 ESPN channel provided to you by the Airlines team cameras. The problem is the league, as in MLS, knows based on this year that we will fill it up no matter the time. Feeling like the loyalty St. Louis soccer fans have shown being taken advantage of, and so they're shoving it at 9 o'clock.
I understand where he's coming from. I would just be surprised if that was the reasoning. Certainly, they'll never be public, and if that was the reasoning, they wouldn't say it. But, scheduling, when you're on one network,
Well, this one's on FS1.
Oh, this game's on FS1?
No, it's on both.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that changes things. Well, that might take...
Nice show prep ass.
Yeah, well, I guess I recant my take.
You still hungover from Willie's and bottle service?
I did not go to Willie's. You've got to catch me in that line. No, I'm good. I recovered quickly.
All right.
Bounce back.
Let's see how much you bounce back based on question 3 of the Little Piddles Angry Beaver weekend wrap-up.
Sure.
Jeremy Rutherford joining us momentarily.
Sure, I'm going right back to Missouri football.
Wow. God, the Blues didn't even make third.
Well, because if JR wasn't, they would have been second. If we didn't have JR, it would have been second. Although I don't know really how much you can... never mind. All right.
It's a great win.
Of course it is.
Sid the Kid.
Absolutely. Love it.
Bounce back.
Offensive output.
Oh. Hi, Sod.
Yeah. What up, Sodder?
Pareko?
Breaksy?
How about the Jim Dandy?
Yeah.
And
Double
Catherine and
five.
the neighbors?
Those guys.
Binner, chicken dinner?
Yeah, he's got to start every game if the Blues want to have a nice point total. All right. Do you think Mizzou will benefit from having a week off?
Yes.
For one of the biggest games in 21st century? Do you think
What's my alternative?
Do you think it could knock off their rhythm and mess with the mojo?
And I understand where you're coming from. Luther Burden didn't look the same ever since he came. I don't know if you were at the game.
Oh, yeah.
And you might have been distracted by Marsh's hair or something.
It happened right in front of me.
Oh, did it really? Where? The left shoulder.
Well, he walked back to the sideline with his left arm stiff, and I was screaming the whole time, "Bend the elbow, Luther!"
You were helping him out. Good for you. I hope they put you on the staff.
Well, I was just really hoping he would bend his elbow so that I could lose my concern. So I stared at the medical tent the entire time he was off. But
I came back and had a nice catch in the fourth quarter, which pretty much, on the off chance that South Carolina could score touchdowns since they hadn't decided to for the first 3 quarters, seal the game away. But it's good that he's going to have that time to heal up. I think the ideal set of circumstances, as strange as it is to sound like this, considering you're tied with Georgia right now. Actually, you're behind Georgia by a game because of the LSU loss, but you control your own destiny, is you want Georgia to win.
Absolutely.
On Florida. I thought it was a bad thing for Missouri that LSU lost to Ole Miss. As weird as that sounds, just from a psychological standpoint, you want Georgia to beat the hell out of Florida on Saturday while Missouri has the bye week.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am pro bye week. Couldn't be better timing. I think LSU has a bye week going into Tuscaloosa as well, if memory serves.
And so I was actually thinking about this over the weekend. No matter what happened against, you had to have beat, if you want to win the playoff, you have to beat Georgia. If you operate under the premise that Georgia will win out, you would have to beat Georgia. Otherwise, you could have beat LSU, go into Georgia 8-0, and then if you lost to Georgia and Georgia won out, you would be in an 11-1 team with 0 chance to make the playoff because Georgia would go to the SEC championship.
In this year, most likely. In other years, 11-1 with a close loss to Georgia, and if Tennessee, Florida, or LSU were all great teams, you would have that, and K-State. And K-State will probably be back in the top 25 before it's all said and done.
Yep.
Kentucky with a win against Tennessee this week's back in the top 25. Point being, I would agree with you. You're on the outside looking in. You always had to beat Georgia if you wanted the dream. I mean, as far as season defining, can the season be a good one? You had to beat K-State. Can the season be a really good one? You had to beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
as far as greatness goes, the road goes through Athens.
Absolutely.
And this is an opportunity for a program-defining win. So there's nothing wrong with going, I don't expect them to win. I don't know how many people expect them to win. But it's just, the time comes where you have to beat the big boys if you want to be one of the big boys. If you're like me and you're tired of these 11 o'clock kickoffs at home, you got to win. Like with Kerry Davis, win. You get the opportunity, you win. Well, now you got an opportunity. Watch this. Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight.
Yeah.
That's what you've earned here tonight, boys.
Yeah, and I'm also in the Mizzou bye week where I would usually be, of course, watching the Tigers on Saturday. I'll be watching the Georgia-Florida game. Yeah, just like I would be watching a Missouri game, fully invested. And I'm really curious to see what Georgia looks like without Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
I think that is a major, just like Missouri with Luther Burden, they were making a great point on the SEC pregame show that I saw with Tim Tebow saying, like, Luther Burden is obviously so effective when he has the ball in his hands, but even when he doesn't, he's used so effectively. The end-around plays they use where Brady Cook in that drive where he got hurt against South Carolina, he was a decoy for Cook to go up the middle with a designed run, but it looked like it was going to be a screen pass to Burden. They do a really good job of utilizing him up and down the field. So same thing with Brock Bowers. Even when he doesn't have the ball in his hand, he's still so dangerous. So not having him, I'm really curious to see what a Georgia team who has struggled with SEC talents, especially in the first half, will look like without him.
And not the best SEC talent either, South Carolina and Auburn.
Sure.
But when they were put to the test one time against Kentucky, they said, all right. Yeah. All right, we'll pay attention for this one, and then we'll go back into hibernation for the trip to Nashville. Jimmy Rutherford wants to get Jackson's questions on Saturday night's win against the Penguins. He's going to get a chance on the other side of the break. JR joins us every Monday here on Balloon Party. It's next on 101 ESPN and on YouTube. Welcome back. Balloon Party, 101 ESPN, and on YouTube. Austin Avery's talking it over. So is David Landwehr, and he's going to Athens.
Good. Awesome. Bring home a W, please.
Yeah, and a piece of the shrubs.
Yeah.
Tim McKernan and Jackson Burkett with you for 10 more minutes, but guess who's going to join us?
Who?
Jeremy Rutherford. Woot, woot. Morning, Jeremy.
What?
I couldn't have been more surprised by what I saw in Saturday's win against the Penguins, because I thought Thursday's loss to the Coyotes was one of the more disheartening games I had witnessed as a Blues fan / talk show / podcast host / godless pervert. And then they come back and they have that kind of game. That was super impressive, man.
Yeah, it really was, Tim. And I don't want to say that I called the way they would play against Pittsburgh, but I think a thing that we're going to see a lot this year with this Blues team is you're probably going to see a lot of bounce back efforts, because I think this team has a lot of heart, has a lot of pride. I think that's the way it was assembled, and I think it's going to work hard. And so after that Arizona game in the locker room, you could kind of sense that this team knew it let everybody down. The other thing I think we're going to see a lot of, and we've talked about it, is those defensive performances like Arizona, where they're running around in the offensive zone on the perimeter, wearing you down, getting that zone time. It's going to break you down. There's going to be nights like that, and then the Blues are going to have to bounce back, and that's exactly what they did in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, so many different elements to talk about. I feel like one of the things that has stood out over the first few games with the Stars, Kraken, and Coyotes leading into that Pittsburgh game was that you really hadn't gotten all that much from Kyrou and Thomas, and then on Saturday night, you did. You saw what a top line can do with what the Coyotes did with Keller and Schmaltz on Thursday, but then the Blues responded with Thomas, Kyrou, and then Saad with the 2 goals.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it was a good move by Craig Berube to move Jake Neighbors up to that second line, and I had in my article on Sunday that he gets a phone call from Braden Shen, come on, let's play hard, let's have a good game. And after that Malkin goal, which is just a depressor, right? You come back in that second period, and Neighbors on that second line gets that goal to kind of take control of that game again. So I think you're starting to see more from some of the Blues top guys. It's still not enough, and it's certainly not enough offensively. Not enough shots on goal, not enough zone time. Just a little bit more in that Pittsburgh game. But this team is going to have to be a lot better offensively and get a lot more from these top guys if it wants to continue playing games like it did against Pittsburgh.
So giving up a lot of shots still, but the key is, unlike last year where there were so many second chance opportunities and pucks just sitting on the doorstep for easy goals, those have been reduced. And that, of course, was the emphasis in camp. What are you seeing as far as the execution of that? Because it seems like 3 of the 4 games this year, they've been able to execute it, and then the one against Arizona, they were not.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 games, and I think that's what they expect, and that's the type of performance they want defensively. And they knew, even though maybe some of us didn't, and it took a little while for everybody to catch on to what the zone system was going to produce in terms of watchability, they kind of knew this was coming, but they're right up there in terms of block shots per 60 games. I think it's about 16.6 per game through these first 4, and that's what they're going to do. And when you sit up top, press box, and you look down, you can see it. They're all packed in, and even Arizona, Seattle, they're circling around. They're looking for that seam. Where's that hole? How can we break this? And there's going to be a lot of possessions where it looks bad because they're going to be able to break a layer or 2 and get a decent shot on net. But for the most part, the stuff has come from the perimeter. Not a lot of rebound attempts. And especially when Jordan Binnington has been in net, he has been very impressive with that rebound control and making the big saves.
Yep, and again, 3 out of 4 games we have seen him, the one exception on Thursday against the Coyotes. Colton Parayko's performance so far this season, certainly somebody you get plenty of emails and DMs about. He gets the goal on Saturday. Craig Berube talked about the way he is skating this year. In particular, one specific shift he was talking about on Saturday night. What are your impressions of Parayko, and what are the thoughts of Craig Berube and the organization on how he's playing so far?
Yeah, how about that, Tim? I think we're 4 games in, and I don't think I've gotten one tweet, email, anything about Colton Parayko in terms of what's this guy doing out there. He's been fantastic. I think he's been their best skater. If you want to say team MVP, top 1, 2, 3, Binnington, I think, is number 1 in my book, but Colton Parayko has been right there. He's doing exactly what he's done for a number of years in terms of skating. He's getting up the ice. He's putting pressure on the other team. You know, you can't get the puck away from him when he's on a mission on that 200-foot skate. So I think he's doing that. But more importantly, what you needed to see from him was playing physical, playing tight on guys, being aware of where everybody was, and he's right on top of that. Like, I watched those first 2 or 3 games when I wrote that video piece for The Athletic, and I just could not believe the Colton Parayko that I'm watching. I think he's been fantastic. He's definitely clicked in terms of whatever he worked on this summer. In terms of not thinking too much. That's what he kept telling us in the preseason. I can't think as much as I have in the past. I've just got to react. That's what he's doing. He's reacting.
And I know this was a theme after the game against the Coyotes, and certainly on Saturday morning before they played the Penguins at the morning skate. But and that is, of course, that it's still early. Teams are still trying to find their identity, and the Blues are trying to make a shift away from what took place last year with giving up so many easy goals. I'm asking you here, granted, 4 games in, but on the doorstep of a Western Canadian road trip, thing that has stood out to you so far that is clearly a difference and an improvement from last year, and something that stands out to you at this moment that, yes, of course, it's still only 4 games, but it stands out as a concern?
Yeah, in terms of improvement, I think obviously the defense is the number one thing, but we've talked a lot about that. So I'll use something else. I think that, finishing checks, I think that that's something that is cliche, but it's something that they weren't doing last year. But when you watch the 3 games that they played well in, let's exclude the Arizona game, I think that they are finishing checks. You look at a Korobchenko, you look at a Hayes, you look at some of these defensemen, Justin Falk, running guys into boards. It doesn't look like much, but that takes the other team out of the play, and then you can kind of dictate the pace. That's what they've done in 3 of these 4 games. And then something that hasn't looked very good, we talked about the lack of offense, the lack of shots. That's going to have to change. The power play. I think that we saw the power play a couple nights ago against Pittsburgh. It was a lot better, especially even on that one where Malkin got the goal coming out of the box after the tripping penalty. They were getting some pressure. They were moving the puck, and I think they've put a little more work into this, and probably trying to get through those first 3 or 4 games where it's not working and it starts to weigh on you a little bit, Tim. And, I'm not saying they're going to come out of it. I'm not going to say this is going to be a top 5 or top 10 power play in the league. But I think in this last game, you started to see signs of a unit that's looked really, really bad this year so far.
Jeremy Rutherford with us every Monday here on Balloon Party, every Wednesday on TMA, and throughout the week on 101 ESPN. Jackson, any observations that you like to share?
Nothing on the hockey side, but just, they take on Winnipeg tomorrow night. Quick fun fact about Winnipeg. Winnipeg's Union Station was built by the same architects who designed New York's Grand Central Terminal. So there's that for you, JR.
Wow. That's great. No, I'm glad not to be going to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to get a chance to go.
That's a shame.
Oh, you know what? It was between this and Vegas, and I picked the Vegas trip. So
bet you'd like to have that one back.
I am living, though, vicariously through Jackson. Before we went on the air here, Tim, I was asking him about Mizzou. I had some fun down in my heyday there and tried to get the 411 from Jackson on what it's like today. So
yeah, him and Marshy Marsh are just running around there. They kind of run things now, It's like the Rat Pack.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I saw the picture of the 2 of them, and I see the cocktail in Jackson's hand, so I could only imagine that.
Oh, what are you having there, Jackson?
Mick Ultra.
Oh, nice.
Went down real smooth.
Oh, is that right?
Went down like milk, baby.
Wow, listen to this guy. He's feeling himself. JR, thank you so much for the time, as always, sir. We'll talk again on Wednesday on TMA.
All right, see you, boys.
There he is, the great Jeremy Rutherford with us here on Balloon Party. Time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrario are up next. Action Jackson and I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. and it's 7 a.m. on TMA. For Action Jackson, I am Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganast, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and on YouTube.